Hiring your nonprofit's first employee can be exciting, but is your organization ready to hire? What do you need to have in place? What paperwork is involved? We'll talk through those basics in this video. And by the way, shout out to longtime subscriber Nick for requesting this topic. Really quick disclaimer before we get started. While I am a nonprofit founder and former executive director, and I've hired my fair share of employees, I am not an HR professional or a lawyer. So please consult an expert and your local region's laws and policies where needed. As always, don't forget to check out my website, changemakercafe.com, for more resources on starting and growing a nonprofit or social impact organization, fundraising, social entrepreneurship, and all sorts of other things. And check out the rest of my channel too, because I have over 200 videos to help you out. In a past video, I actually talked about how you know if the time is right to hire staff for your nonprofit. So you want to check that out first for some tips and indicators on how you know if you can sustainably afford to manage staff. So for the purposes of this video, we are assuming two things are true about your current situation. The first is that you're already a fully registered nonprofit with an employer identification number from the IRS. And second, that your organization is already financially prepared to bring on staff, meaning you already have some consistent revenue streams and probably at least 5 to 6 months of salary for your new hire. So if those things are true, what do you do next? I'm going to break it down in 3 parts for you: compliance, payroll processes, and hiring and onboarding. Let's jump right into part 1, compliance. The first thing you want to do is to go ahead and research your local and state employment laws, because once you become an employer as a nonprofit, you not only have to comply with federal employment laws, but you also have to comply with those of your specific region. These are going to vary state to state. So for the United States, you can find your local state labor office on the U.S. Department of Labor website. For example, you might have to set up an employer account with your state's Department of Revenue, or set up a workers' compensation account and be prepared to pay into workers' compensation insurance. I want to address a question I've gotten before, because the phrase tax exempt, referring to tax exempt nonprofits, can confuse people. I want to be clear that while nonprofits are exempt from certain sales taxes or other types of taxes, nonprofits still do have to pay payroll taxes as employers. That includes Social Security and Medicare on the federal level, or unemployment insurance on the state level, maybe other things depending on your region. And of course, your employees, though they are employees of a nonprofit, they still, of course, have to pay income taxes themselves, state and federal. The IRS has a page outlining what tax obligations nonprofits do have, so I highly recommend you check that out. I'll go ahead and leave the link to that below this video as well. The next thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you're properly classifying your new hires. Are they going to be actual employees, or are they going to be contractors? And there's some nuance here and a lot of confusion. And again, I'm not an HR professional, so definitely look this up for yourself and talk to your friendly HR person that you know in your life. But in general, there's a few ways you can tell the difference. Contractors are workers who have a lot of autonomy. They aren't meant to be managed or supervised like you would a traditional employee. They usually set their own hours. Their projects are usually short-term or one-time or temporary, or special ongoing projects for a very specific need in your organization. They're supposed to use their own equipment for the tasks, and you might pay them by having a flat fee or on an hourly rate that the contractor has agreed to with you. And of course, contractors are responsible for taking care of their own income taxes, and employees are supposed to have their income taxes pulled out from payroll when you pay them. Finally, as part of the compliance section, you really want to get familiar with and comfortable with labor laws in your region and federally, things like minimum wage and overtime and non-discrimination policies and other things like that, because you'll be expected to comply with all of those. Okay, so you're up to date with the compliance piece. What about all the paperwork and the software that makes all the paying of people possible? Part 2 is all about these payroll processes. Before you can set up any payroll processes, you're going to have to make some decisions about what benefits you're going to be able to offer your employees. In a world with high turnover and worker satisfaction is kind of up in the air, I personally highly recommend doing everything you can to take good care of your people as early as you can. So take a look at your budget, talk it over with your board of directors, your other team members, whomever needs to be part of this decision-making process, and figure out what you can offer. Can you help pay for someone's health insurance? Can you offer generous paid time off? What else can you do to make sure that your people that you're hiring are going to feel really taken care of and hopefully stay with you a long time? Then, of course, you're going to need to choose software to facilitate that payroll. This includes paying your employees through checks or direct deposit. It includes automatically submitting payroll taxes to your various government entities, and it includes managing those benefits that we just talked about. Most good platforms will, let's say you're contributing 50% to someone's health insurance. You can facilitate that through the platform. It should take care of it for you. There are a lot of software options out there, from Gusto to QuickBooks and lots of others. Some might even be special for nonprofits. So do your research and compare pricing and features to make your decision. Next, you'll want to decide how you're going to be tracking your employees' time, and if you're going to use timesheets of some kind. You can create your own version of a timesheet. It can be a spreadsheet if you'd like. And some software solutions even have ways to have people log their time and track it that way too. All right, so at this point you've made decisions about benefits, you've hopefully chosen some good software. Now it's time to get the paperwork ready that your new hire is going to have to fill out in order to become an official employee. In general, this is going to include 3 types of paperwork. The first is your W-4 federal income tax withholding form. The second is your state income tax withholding form. And the third is your I-9, which is an employee eligibility form that the government wants you to fill out to make sure that you are hiring someone who's eligible to work in the United States. You're going to need to have a secure place where you can store these forms after they're filled out, like a secure online storage folder or situation. And of course, that's because these forms will contain sensitive personal information about your employees, so it's your job as an employer to protect that data. And of course, you'll have to display any mandatory state or federal labor law posters, which you can get through the Department of Labor. Let's talk step 3, hiring and onboarding. You are almost there, my friend. It's time to get that new employee in the door. It all starts with an employee offer letter or employment contract. After you've done your candidate interviews and found the person you want for the job, you've got to seal the deal, make it official with this written contract or agreement. An offer letter would include details like the job's start date, the agreed upon salary, special policies that they need to read and become familiar with, list of benefits, links to other things like the original job description. Your new employee needs to read through this and sign it to agree to the terms of their new job. Then as part of onboarding, you're going to want to provide some kind of handbook or guidebook, an employee handbook to your new person. This will include the links to or full-length versions of your various policies, like your conflict of interest policy, your intellectual property policy, which usually will state that anything they create becomes the property of the organization. It doesn't belong to them as intellectual property, etc. Policies on requesting time off or paid time off, etc. Like a recap of those employee benefits and more. It's basically just one place where they can know they can find everything and answer any question they might have about their employment with you. If you don't have these policies written out, now is the time to create them before you hire anyone. In fact, you might check out my other video covering policies that your nonprofit needs to have right here. Finally, every new employee needs a solid onboarding and training experience to help them feel confident in their new role with your organization. It turns out a really good onboarding and training process is critical to keeping people around. According to Ratorio, an employee coaching platform, 31% of new employees leave their job in the first 90 days due to poor onboarding. So you want to make sure your new employee feels welcome, has time with you or leaders in the first couple of weeks, and really get them in there feeling good. To support this training process, another thing I recommend is to have documentation created around all of your main or top activities as an organization, from your program activities to your operations. I know when I first started hiring people for my own organization a while ago, I didn't have any of that. And so what would happen is employees would come to me directly with all of their questions instead of having a place where they could quickly find the answer. And that would slow both of us down. Now, we talked about this a little bit before, but success in fundraising is critical to your organization's ability to hire new employees and expand your programs and your impacts. Nonprofits need an effective fundraising platform so they can collect donations to do their important work. And that's where the sponsor of today's video, Click and Pledge, comes in. Click and Pledge is a great fundraising platform for organizations that are growing and bringing on new team members because they are built to scale. Just a few of their robust fundraising features include texting to give, peer-to-peer fundraising so you can mobilize your own supporters to go out and get donations from their networks, video fundraising with donations embedded right in the videos. So when someone clicks to make a donation, you can see the exact timestamp where they felt inspired to give. Donor retention features like personalized thank you messages and video content, a complete Salesforce integration, and other integrations and more. Now here's how Click and Pledge is built to scale. Some fundraising platforms are going to charge you increasing fees as your organization grows its donor base. Click and Pledge doesn't do that. They just have one flat rate no matter how big your organization scales. And there are no contracts locking you in for long periods, and all of their solutions are included in their price. You can learn more about Click and Pledge's fundraising solutions at the QR code that I'll share on the screen here, or you can even schedule a demo to talk to their amazing team directly. I'll leave those links below this video for you too. Thanks again to Click and Pledge for sponsoring this video. This was a lot, so go into the comments and let me know how ready you're feeling to bring in your first employee. That's such an exciting time. If you're there, good luck. I'm very excited for you. It shows that you're really growing some capacity to do the mission that you're setting out to do. And if you're watching this before you're there, good on ya, because you're planning ahead, which is always very important. Once again, don't forget to check out the other videos on my channel all about nonprofits, social impact, fundraising, and more, and my website, changemakercafe.com, where I have a newsletter, an accelerator membership program for people starting and growing nonprofits and social impact organizations, and a lot more, so you don't want to miss it. Once again, I'm Amber Melanie Smith, and I'll see you next time.